Um, in April, you filed for divorce from your husband,
Correct.
Kevin, after nearly 22 years of marriage.
Correct.
And
25 years being together.
being together.
Correct.
And because of his infidelity.
Wendy Williams is in many ways a typical story of what happens when you let fame and power go over your head and you don't take care of yourself in the process. She was one of the most controversial, outspoken, and brash talk show hosts in history, and she was unapologetic through it all, even when it meant dealing with issues behind the scenes and coming off as a terrible person almost every day. But karma bit her hard when she got so sick that she lost her show. She claimed to have a podcast in the works, but rumors say it's already been canceled. Ex-husband issue. Before we get into everything else, we need to dive deep here because this is something that is still circulating in the media. Last year it was revealed that Wendy Williams' ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, was on the verge of losing everything because of a clause in his divorce agreement. The agreement allowed Wendy to stop paying alimony if she would no longer work on the Wendy Williams show. According to the court documents, Kevin depended on the court-ordered spousal payments from Wendy, for homeowner association payments to car insurance and to even pay off his outstanding credit card bills. He released a statement about his financial stress. I have fallen behind on most of my bills. I currently live in a community that requires payments to the homeowner association, and I am behind on that bill too. If the homeowners association fees are not paid, foreclosure will soon follow, he continued. My car insurance hasn't been paid as a result of not receiving monthly severance payments. I'm behind on credit card payments because I have no money since the severance payments were suspended. My life has been greatly affected since the plaintiff stopped making payments under our settlement agreement. The fact that I am unable to sustain my life and pay my bills in order is extremely emergent to me, Kevin said. I cannot pay my bills and sustain my day-to-day living. One would likely think that if he was in this kind of proposition, he would, get a job or try to pay things for himself, but apparently not. Or that his day-to-day living costs might just be too high for a normal job, so maybe he should cut down, but he doesn't seem that it's a problem for himself. The denial. Now that we got into all of the backstory, let's get into what's happening now. Wendy Williams' rep is updating fans on what the TV and radio personality is working on these days, including the future of her possible podcast and maybe returning back to television. In a statement, they said, "We are still working behind the scenes on several different projects." Sean Zanotti told ET, as for reports for her podcast, the Wendy Experience has been canceled. Her rep adds, "There have been no official cancellation of this podcast." As for a possible television comeback, Sean says that Wendy does desire to return to TV. Wendy Williams was also recently spotted at the townhouse in New York City. It was reported that she was drinking alcohol at a gay bar, and her rep tells ET that she was out celebrating new things in her life, including several upcoming projects. She is happy and she just wanted to celebrate as she has a new lease on life. There are several projects coming down to the pipeline, and she's been celebrating those things, Sean says. Wendy loves her fans and fully supports the LGBTQ+ community, which just so happens to be a big part of her fan base, which is why she chose the places she did to celebrate. To some, that will sound like a rep covering for her client more than anything else if you think about it. And there may be some truth to that on some levels, but not to the whole. We also want to point out that they noted there was no official cancellation of the podcast. But what about the unofficial one? It wouldn't be out of character for Wendy Williams to think of doing something and then back out because it suddenly just doesn't suit her anymore. And it is very telling that despite just getting out of rehab, that she's already back at a bar. That's not how someone goes and takes care of themselves after a major scare. But then again, this is Wendy Williams, and she is nothing if not a person who does not mind doing things if she feels that it's worth her time. Which is why she's been in so much trouble over the past several years. The son issue. Earlier in the year, Wendy Williams' son was evicted from his $2 million apartment in Miami after he failed to pay his $70,000 that were left in rent. Kevin Hunter Jr. was hit with an eviction lawsuit in August after failing to pay monthly rent since February. The complaint includes a copy of Hunter's lease, which shows Williams paid $100,000 upfront for the first year of his apartment. Hunter's response, which was filed about 2 weeks later, owns up to the failed rent and explains that he was unable to pay it because his famed mother at the time went through some health issues that resulted in her finances being placed under the court's control. All of this happened suddenly, and all the financial support that she always gave me stopped, including my housing. Hunter noted. Even though my name is on the lease, my mom was paying, and for the medical and legal reasons, she's not been able to pay the rent for the past couple of months since the 1-year lease ended, and the court has controlled her finances. Hunter said his mother's health issues happened very quickly and unexpectedly, and noted that he had to take a year off of school during the COVID-19 pandemic to take care of the former talk show host. He also explained that he had found temporary housing and already made arrangements to move out of the apartment that was attempting to evict him. On September 14th, the court ruled in the apartment building's favor and had Hunter evicted. However, page 6 can also reveal that Hunter was hit with a separate eviction lawsuit in Miami on August 31st, 2021. A different apartment complex in Miami sued to remove the college student from its premise after he failed to move out by August 10th, when his lease ended. The case was ultimately dismissed because Hunter moved out on his own accord and into a new apartment that suited him as well. So yeah, not exactly a stable way of doing things. Which leads us to the Wendy problem. So if reports are to be believed, Wendy is still doing her podcast, she's already drinking again, and her family isn't in the best shape right now. Does that inspire confidence in anyone? Some don't think so. Wendy has made a mess of her life again, and while everything is not her fault, you can trace some of these things back to her. And if she doesn't embrace her new lease on life the right way, it will backfire on her again. What does Kevin have to say about it? Kevin tells the Sun that his mom's health has been bad since she got a guardian last year. He thinks that people are ignoring her health problems and just making money from her work. As mentioned before, there are rumors that Wendy is working on a new show, but we have mentioned that these might be far from true. Some people say it could be a reality show, but her team says it's not. Kevin told The Sun, "I know there are all sorts of things happening that I know she would never agree to if she was thinking clearly." He says his main goal is to make sure she's okay, because he knows she'll eventually see what's really going on. Recently, it was reported that Wendy Williams was taken to the hospital at least 2 different times. Wendy's jeweler, who is now her manager, Will Shelby, confirmed this. He called Kevin in mid-May to tell him that Wendy was in the hospital. Kevin says this was the first time he'd heard from Will in several months. Kevin also said that no one from Wendy's team or the court that oversees her guardianship case told him that his mother had been released from the hospital. He also wasn't told that she had been allegedly moved out of New York. So right now, he doesn't really know where she's at. Wendy Williams' representative, Sean, gave a statement in May saying, "I can confirm that Wendy is not in the hospital as reported. I can also confirm she's not in New York." This news came after Wendy Williams was supposed to speak at a women's expo in Atlanta. She was supposed to be the main speaker, but she had to pull out. The reports came out that she had been hospitalized. In an interview with Kevin Hunter Jr., he said he was worried about his mom. He said, "What's been made more important by the people around her, even though her health might not be great, she still needs to keep income coming. In my opinion, that should not be priority at all." He believes the people hired need to take care of his mom, instead of taking advantage of her when she needs to be getting better. And there you have it, everyone. A look at Wendy Williams and all that's going on with her in talks of media life and her personal life. Were you happy that her podcast or her show is possibly not canceled? Do you think it's all probably for the best that it never airs? What do you think is going to happen with her next? Who is looking out for her? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, we will see you next time on the channel.